Hello, everyone. It's David J. Murphy of Around the Lens here with another filmmaker interview. I'm happy to be joined by the star and director for the short film, A Girl Called Alice. The director is Tristan Loraine, and the star of the film is Tegan Grace Muggeridge. Thank you both for joining me today. Please tell me a little about this film and kind of what the story of it is.
Yeah, so A Girl Called Alice is a 15-minute short set in London, surrounding one of London's most biggest crimes around mobile phone theft. The film follows a young woman who goes on a journey and manages to infiltrate into one of the biggest criminal gangs of the mobile phone theft. And yeah, it's over 74,000 mobile phones were stolen in 2024. So it's just shocking how many people's phones are stolen, and we wanted to make a change about that. And a lot of my friends, and I've personally had my bag almost taken off, snatched from my shoulder in London. So just about not feeling safe on the streets and just spreading that awareness was really important to us through our storytelling.
Yeah, so in 2006, I used to be an airline captain, and I was ill health retired due to exposure to hazardous chemicals. So I wanted to kind of tell that story. So I made a documentary, and we then thought, oh, we should make films about social impact issues, and the kind of companies pretty much done that all the time. And we'd never made a short film until about 2017, and we decided to do one on dementia. And we did that, and that was great. It was good success. It was screened in UK cinemas ahead of Downton Abbey. So people would go into the cinema, and before watching that, they would learn about dementia. And then we did one about called Finding Wilson, which was about mental health and PTSD in the military, and that screened before Dunkirk. And so we kind of thought, oh, we should do more of these. And some years later, we decided to do one about bullying in sport with Simon Callow, and Tegan auditioned for that. And Tegan had been bullied when she was at school. So we did that also with Aguska, the now 7 times world ladies freestyle football champion.
That's great.
And then Tegan then started working for us, and Tegan said, you know, we should write a story about mobile phone theft. You know, that's what we do. We need to be there in the part of the debate. So Tegan and I wrote this screenplay, and I directed. Tegan was a second unit director, and obviously she's the main lead actress in it. And so it was by far the most challenging short film I've ever made. It was so challenging as a producer.
Yeah, and with a fantastic cast as well. We had Antonio Kiel, who played Tarek, and Rita Ramnani, who was the female police officer. Just a fabulous cast who sort of all gelled really, really well together.
Oh, that's awesome. And, you know, on the credits, it looked like perhaps you were partnering with maybe the London police force, or maybe there was some kind of partnership there. Was that something that was evident? Did that help?
No, 100%. So basically, when you film in London, you need permission. And now if you're a studio, you know, you're Warner Brothers or whatever, you go to one of the big landmarks like Trafalgar Square, and you've got the luxury of saying, right, we're taking over the whole square, and you can completely control the environment. When you're an indie filmmaker, it's way more challenging, because now what's happening is you have to pay to film for a certain amount of time. You can't use a drone. So now you're using a helicopter. Now you're coordinating, doing a helicopter and ground crew. And now you start filming, and whatever the environment is, it is. So and all this is planned days beforehand or weeks beforehand. And it's winter in London with the weather and the temperature. And then you have to have the police there. You have to have, because we were doing car chase scenes and stuff. So now you have to have countless motorcyclists, police, you need a local authority. And so it logistically really, really challenging, but everybody was so supportive. And then from a technical point of view, we've always used Canon cameras, and we said to Canon, look, here's the situation. We're going to be running in the streets of London. We don't have permission to close the streets. So these are going to be public people that we're going to be running past. So we can't do it more than once. Twice. You've got to get it right. We've got great DOP, and we want to shoot with prime lenses. And so, you know, how are we going to do that? And they said, okay. And what we do is we give you our very latest C80 camera, put that on a DJI stabilized platform, that'll take a prime, and then off you go. So that's what we did, and they were just so supportive, Canon, and everybody's been amazing, hasn't they?
We have, and we had the opportunity to collaborate with Crime Stoppers as well, who not only, you know, allowed us to develop the story further, but they gave us information about the inside information into the gangs and how they actually think. So we were able to put that into our characters and the little nuances that were needed. So really, thank you to them as well.
No, they were really helpful because we wrote it together. And like with all writers, sometimes you come to like, you know, we've got different opinions. And one of the good examples is that there's a scene about telling about the story is that would these gang people be using a knife? Would they be using a gun? So we went to Crime Stoppers and we said, you know, what's the situation here? And when we started the journey, we didn't really know a lot about the people that were stealing phones. I naively thought, you know, they're probably young teenagers that just sell them for some money or it's drug related. But actually, this is massively organized crime, with 90% of the phone stolen going to places like China. So these are organized gangs. You know, they're very organized, very thorough. You know, they don't mess around. So that insight from Crime Stoppers and writing the screenplay was invaluable in portraying it as accurately as possible.
Yeah, wow. I mean, again, I mean, I didn't have no idea of the, you know, depth and veracity of the issue. And I mean, that's just London. I can't imagine like how bad it might be in the States, you know, here in New York City, who knows how many phones get stolen. But, you know, I mean, from a purely like logistical standpoint, like you said, phones go to China, but like aren't, you know, most phones password protected. So, I mean, what are people doing? They're just stripping the phone of their like material parts and trying to get the gold out of it. Are people cracking the phones to make them usable? I mean, my phone, you know, like you don't enter the passcode enough times, just locks you out. So like, what's the value in this little square box now, considering, you know, how many controls are in place?
Yeah, a lot of the gangs are set up so that as long as they have the phone, they have the software to hack into it, and there are ways of getting around the password. So they're really clever with what they can do with it, but it's really worrying about it. Yeah,
they're super organized, and the reason why there's such an appetite for these phones is because in some countries of the world, the government wants to put technology on the phone to kind of see what the user is using, whereas the phones sold in the United Kingdom or in America have to a lesser extent, should we say. So they're very valuable. And so it's the whole phones going there. And Crime Stoppers were telling us these amazing stories about how, like, you know, these phones disappear and suddenly somebody's sitting at home in London and suddenly there's a ping and it's like, find my phone. And now it's in Asia. Suddenly it's just arrived, you know. It's like, so, but it's not just having your phone stolen and the value of replacing the phone. It's the intrusion in your private life, access to banking accounts, social media. There's so many other consequences of this.
Especially as everyone's on their phone, and you know, it's like people's lives on a little cell. So yeah, it's very worrying, and the fact that they get shipped all over the world and you have no idea and sometimes no way of tracking them.
And also what was really bizarre, Dave, is we're filming like on Westminster Bridge, which is like big tourist attraction beside Big Ben. So there we are with police beside us, so the public feel reassured. And people come up to us and they say, oh, hi, can you just take a photo? And we go, we're here making a film about mobile phone theft. They say, oh, that's great. Can you make sure you got Big Ben in behind us? It's like people are really, from some cultures and some countries, people arrive in London and wherever they live, you know, obviously mobile phone theft isn't the problem it is in London, but in London it's fierce. It really is fierce. And you've really got to be on the case. And, you know, and Tegan mentioned how many phones in 2024. In 25, it's 117,000. 117,000, you know, it's just a huge number of phones.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. I'll be definitely thinking twice if I'm ever in London and I'm never going to give my phone to somebody to take my picture. I'll just be like, I'll just do a selfie. Thank you. That's, because, you know, somebody'd be like, I'll take your picture for you. Like, I've never even thought twice about it just because I don't know. Like, again, I've never experienced it myself, so why would I be thinking that that would happen? But okay,
Well,
let's
we
talk a
had a
little bit more about the filming. So you mentioned drone shots were off the table, and you had actually had to get a helicopter because there were some aerial shots in the film. So those were all shot with helicopter.
all shot with helicopter, gyro stabilized, same helicopter they used to make the Bond films, so, it's mega money type stuff. But, the quality is just, amazing. So
Oh yeah,
every
oh yeah,
every real shot filmed was from a helicopter.
that's amazing. That's almost like the old school nowadays, especially for indie film. I mean, that kind of gets me to my other question. And you don't have to tell me the budget, but how did you afford to make this film? Like, how was it funded?
Well, that's a really good point. And so we had this dilemma in that we as a company want to make a heist film, quite an important heist film, also with a
Hmm.
public interest issue. And we thought, okay, in this heist film, I want to cast Tegan as a young trainee detective, because in our state you can go to detective school at 18, come out at 21, and Tegan's 21. So we wanted to put her in this heist film juxtaposed against an old-timer policeman. Now, to get funders and investors in that film, having been in the industry 20 years, and although Tegan's done like some smaller parts in like studio films, we thought people are going to probably say, hang on a minute, who is she, blah blah blah. So we thought rather than make a trailer for the heist film, we'll make this short film with the same DOP, the same camera technology, and many of the cast, to kind of show
Hmm.
what we can do, because that will be the exact same technology and work pattern, whether it be color grading, post-production sound, or whatever. So people can say, okay, I can see visually what you could kind of do and how much that's going to cost. So that's kind of, in essence, how it came about. So it was a really expensive short film. In the United Kingdom, we do get a tax credit, and so you can submit to the government, but the films are audited very carefully. So, so I don't mind saying the budget was about £100,000,
That
which
is amazing that, again, that there was that kind of budget. So, I mean, was it self-funded or did you have an investor or were there grants that were provided?
so there's obviously the tax rebate grants, but the company funded a lot of it in view of the fact the money would have been allocated to make a trailer for the heist film. So we will recoup
Sure.
that in the development money of the heist film, and also
Right.
EE, who are the biggest telecommunications company in the UK. They also came on board because they wanted to play an active role in trying to educate their users that this really is a real problem. And so that's where it is. So we approached to a lot of other companies, but EE were the one that said, we'll get on board, and we're really grateful to that. And also, when you make these films, there's other, like the police costing was phenomenal. I can't, because central London, you're filming in the winter, and you've got 2 days of filming into, say, Trafalgar Square. You do the first day, but the second day the weather forecast now changes and you're rained off, so you have to reschedule, but you still got to pay all the fees again to the police and all the local costs, so you can burn money really, really rapidly. And also
Yeah,
we did the
I bet.
film, and we did the film also on as a equity rates, which is a like SAG kind of film in America. So all the actors got paid the standard equity low budget film costs, which obviously a lot of independent filmmakers won't do. But we wanted to do that, and also we're really blessed that this film is going to be the first short film ever made to now get the new human-made logo of approval, which they launched this at the Cannes Film Festival, this new kind of hallmark. So you apply to them, they review the film in minute detail, and then that goes at the beginning of the film and in the end credits with the serial number to say this film was totally made by humans. So we're quite honored that we're the first short film. There's a feature film just come out in North America, which is first human-made feature film. But we're not saying you shouldn't use AI, because we use it in the office all the time for research and other things. But when it comes to employing people in the creative industry, you know, we're really proud that, you know, everybody there is real.
No, absolutely. I think that's an important point you bring up, because it's almost strange that we have to have that kind of label on films nowadays. But obviously, the use of AI is becoming more and more prevalent. You know, we see big studios even exploring what they can do with, you know, the tools and the capabilities. So, what are your thoughts on the fact that, one, there needs to be an AI, or not, sorry, a human-made label on films nowadays to distinguish them? And, you know, where do you kind of see AI? Is there a place at all for AI ever in the future in terms of filmmaking, in a way that doesn't necessarily impact job loss or impact job employment within the industry?
Well, it's so interesting because Tegan and I are writing a feature film script about my wife. My wife was one of the most amazing people that was ever on the planet, and we want to make this film. Now we have loads of film footage of my wife doing media interviews and in other documentaries and stuff. But the original idea would be to make a film and try and cast somebody, the Kate Winslet's kind of Tony Collette kind of level. But another idea we've been playing with is to really honor my wife. Could we take an actress to play her, and just for Susan, just who my wife was, could we, with AI, bring her to be really visually, you see the real Susan? So an actor still does the job, but the audience actually gets to see Susan visually. And then you can then use all the footage that exists in the world of her already to make the storytelling more authentic. So that's an interesting dilemma that we've been discussing. Where does that sit? You know, so you're not taking away jobs, but you're honoring a person in a more realistic manner. So it's something we're debating as we write the screenplay at the moment.
Yeah, that sounds like an interesting dilemma, but also something interesting to explore, and, you know, definitely an area that will have to be litigated, I guess, at some point. And, you know, at the end of the day, the market's going to decide, right? Because, you know, there's going to be filmmakers who are prompters, I guess, who create, you know, films using prompts, and it's going to be something that exists out there. There's already a film someone made that they showed at Cannes, not at the Cannes Film Festival, but at the city of Cannes. I think called Hellgrind or something, that was created with prompts and AI generated video. And, you know, again, I think the industry and the market will decide. Personally, I like, even here in Tribeca, there was a film that was generated with AI and AI prompts. And I talked to the director about it, and, you know, they're trying to be like super ethical in terms of not trying to like take away jobs in the way they do it, and that their whole method is meant to be like one that works with the artists, you know. But I'll be honest, like, I watched the film, and as soon as I knew it was AI, I was just completely turned off, and the message of the film was completely lost on me, because I was so distracted by the fact that they used AI, and it turned me off towards what the film presented. But yeah, it's definitely an interesting concept, and we'll see how it goes. I lost my mom, you know, a few years ago, and it'd be neat to kind of resurrect her in a future like documentary about her life. You know, I mean, I have interviews with her. Maybe I could do something like that. But
Yeah.
I wish you all the luck in that project. Getting back to this film, besides obviously the shooting in the high volume tourist destinations, were there any other, I guess, issues you faced, or, you know, filmmaking the things that made it difficult? And also, how long did you shoot for? How many days?
Um, we shot shoot over a couple of, or it was, I think it was or was it a
About
week?
about 7 days of filming. So David, interestingly, in this film, we shot the film, and then we sat down in the edit and we edited it, and we actually thought, you know what, this is actually missing something. And so we then, although we had written the screenplay together and we made the film that we had written, we actually thought, when you actually watched it, it didn't quite work as well. There was some little extra bits we thought we should add here to add more tension and stuff. So we then went and filmed some whole new scenes. And I think that's where I think creative people need to be self-critical. You know, you make the film, and we could have just put it out there, but actually, in view of what was at stake here, that we're trying to use this film to help for a heist film, you know, we needed to make this as slick as possible. So that's what we did. Now, obviously, it's a lot of money for a short film, but you know, it was, you know, it's highly ambitious in what it's trying to do. You know, had we had, you know, it's also really difficult filming in those situations. You know, filming in a busy street in London where you're not blocking the street off is, you know, trust me, you know, and you think you only got so many takes you can go with, and you've got to cut it all together. It's yeah, it was
Yeah.
very, very challenging, but we're lucky. You know, our cinematographer,
It's fantastic.
yeah, we, you know, there's like a it's
yeah, he's got such a like great collaborative nature as well. And if you're, you know, as a director, you know, you have a vision, but also then he's very open to like saying, oh, should we do this as a backup? And like, sure, yeah. So, but also we did have a few like issues with the lighting in London, because on one of the afternoons the sun disappeared and then it came back out and we were like, so I think that was on the bridge as well.
yeah.
So it was interesting to sort of, you know, work around the weather. Obviously we're not shooting in a studio, we wanted it to be authentic, and as well as being able to have the pleasure of co-writing with Tristan. It was great because I was able to like project the idea of and chat to the other actors about what the vision was as well. So that was great in terms of that perspective.
Yeah, yeah. So, and also, you know, just basic things. You're filming in central London, you know, toilets.
Yeah.
You know, basic. You know, there's not a whole load of public toilets available. You know, and if you're in the middle of Trafalgar Square, and you've booked the place for say an hour, and the lead actor was to turn around and say, "Oh, I think I need to go to the bathroom." It's like, you know, so it sounds really basic, but there's quite a lot of things to think ahead of the time, you know, to do. But the cast were really good in that they understood the stresses that the production was under, so they came really well prepared. You know, everybody knew their lines, and you know, that was good. And you can't even go to these places and rehearse without booking, because you know you can't be using their space without having to pay a fee. So you have to really think on your feet. And also I think it benefits as creative people if you also edit, because you know, as you're filming it, you're thinking, how are we going to edit this all together here? And so sometimes we had, yeah, so we actually reshot the ending, because we had one ending and then we didn't think that worked, so we reshot the ending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just wanted to say massive thanks to Tristan, because he's been the best producer to work with as well. Thanks.
Awesome. I want to ask you about how you embodied the character, Tegan. You know, how did you kind of wrap your head around this character? What kind of, like, from your acting experience helped inform how you decided to take on the role? And were there any challenges for you personally as you sort of embodied this character?
Yeah, so I mean, I had a great time embodying Alice. It was so great to sort of get in her shoes and speaking to Crime Stoppers and learning like how like I did a lot on body language as well, and how my character would walk, and like really go into the specifics of like characterization, because she finds herself caught in a world of deception, but then also there's a parallel to her without giving too much away. So I felt like I had to layer her quite a lot, and it was really great to just experiment with the different scenes as well. I was really lucky to work with Errol, who's a stunt coordinator who's worked on the Bond film. So he did he did a really great sequence with us, and we did a lot of training, and it was just really fun to just, you know, put it on its feet. So for those of you who haven't seen it, look forward to see it, because it's a really cool scene.
No, the training she had to do for one quick scene was like months of training just to prepare her for that. So which was quite, but it's amazing, like, for, you know, when you work with a stunt coordinator of that caliber, you know, Bond films, and they arrive and they know you're low budget, and how they can instantaneously, with the DOP and the director, create something, you know, it's amazing to see, you know, what they can really bring to enhance everything. And
Yeah.
so it was really good. You know, really good team of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask because there are some fight scenes and some other sort of things going on in the film. What kind of like was the stunt planning for, right? But I think you just answered my question. That's awesome, great. So, obviously you've got the feature film, heist film that you're working on. Are there any other projects in the works that we should know about?
So we got the heist film, the film about my wife, who was Susan Michaelis. And when we were at Cannes, we sat down with a producer who's called Lucy, and she's talking about doing a rom-com coming-of-age film. And she said, "Oh, I need this actress who can be 17, but who could also be 22." And she looked at Tegan and said, "Hang on, let me see your show reel." So she looked at the show reel, says, "Yeah, you're it." So, that's something we're working on, which might happen really quickly. We might be looking to film that this August. So that's that would be quite
it would be a really nice project to undertake as well. And it was crazy because we met at the Yes She Can. I was part of the She Squad in Cannes, and they're a fab group of people. So I just wanted to do a shout out to them because they're so lovely and support women in film as well. And it's nice to collaborate with everyone there.
Were you in Cannes, Dave?
No, I've never been to Cannes. I'd love to go. I actually, I participated in a film contest that would have, leveraged me to get there if I'd won it. But no, maybe I'll go someday. Maybe next year.
No, you should. It's really is an amazing, the people, the variation of the people you meet. We were down there and we were just talking to some chap about the film we want to make about my wife, and the guy said, "Tell me about her story." And without saying who he is, when we finished the story, he said, "I'll color grade your film for you." And we said, "Oh, that's great. Have you color graded much?" And he said, "Yeah, I've color graded 3 Academy Award winning films, and I really would like to be part of this project." And we're like, so those are the kind of people you meet just totally randomly.
Super cool.
Yeah.
That is amazing, and that is the kind of thing that can happen when you get a collective of high-tier filmmakers together in an event like Cannes. So that's great to hear. Well, that's awesome. Well, we're nearing the end of our time together. Before we say goodbye, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Social media?
Yeah, you can follow us at agirlcalledalice.com, and we've got a Girl Called Alice film on Instagram as well. So we've got a lot of the festival updates that will pop up on there.
So we've entered the film into 310 festivals in the world so far. It's like huge. And so we submitted those. So we submitted to Raindance and others. So we're really honored that we're going to premiere at Raindance, which in Europe is biggest independent film festival, which is great. And we've been selected by 20 others already, and quite a few in America. And we just hope people get to see the film. And if you're an aspiring filmmaker out there, it's great making films. Just get out there and do it. Everything's possible. And Tegan always has these 3 magical words she gives to anybody getting into film.
Yeah, so we use improvise, adapt, and overcome. We apply it to anything in film and you get the job done efficiently. And
yeah. So we're very grateful.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely great. Yeah, I mean, with that many, festival acceptances, I'm sure there will be no end to the opportunities people can go to see the film, and I'm sure it'll end up online as well for folks, just because it's such an important message that needs to get out there. Well, great. Thank you so much for being on the program. Really appreciate it. Obviously, good luck with the film. You've already had such success with it. Are you going to be going to the festivals that it gets accepted to? Are you going to do like the world tour?
No, we're going to try, and we got this phone in London. If anybody wants a cheap phone. No, we're going to try.
Yeah.
No, we really are, Dave. You can't do all of them, but it's important because it's also really great to meet other filmmakers and share experiences and ideas. And the more filmmakers you meet, the more you learn.
Yeah.
And I've been doing this 20 years, and learn every time. Every film I watch, you kind of learn something new. And I haven't made a film yet where I've got to the end of the film and thought, "Oh, that's perfect." I always think, "Darn, why didn't I do that?" Or "Why didn't I do this?" Do you know what I mean? But that's the journey, isn't it?
Indeed. And so go ahead.
Thank you so much, Dave, for having us.
No, it's really kind of you, Dave. I really appreciate it. Is that an Irish name, Dave Murphy? It's a good Irish name.
It does, yeah. It comes from Ireland. I need to get
Yeah.
back. I need to get to Ireland at some point. I meant to go there on my trip to London, but I just didn't have the time. But I gotta get to Ireland, and I gotta drink a Guinness in Ireland. That's my next life objective on my bucket list.
And they also do in Ireland a thing called super chilled Guinness, where it's poured at just above freezing, and it's an amazing Guinness, like chilled. Like I think it was called zero 0 degrees chill. It's normal alcohol, but it's super chilled. So it's something in Dublin. Be nice for you.
Right, I'm booking my flight now, and I'll stop by London and say hello to you guys in person.
Yeah, and also, if you've got Irish ancestry, get an Irish passport. It makes life traveling in Europe with an Irish passport. It's just so much easier than a British passport.
Yeah.
Right, great. I'll keep that in mind. Awesome, guys. Well, again, thank you, Tegan. Thank you, Tristan, for being on the program. Really appreciate it. Good luck with this film and all your future films. And think of me when you guys get your next film published, and I'll be happy to have you on to talk about it.
Thank you so much, Dave, and I'm sorry for your loss for your mum as well.
Then I'm sorry for your loss as well. All right, we're going to stop. Yeah, thanks again, guys. Thanks for being on the program.